Marion, Alabama, because that's where my family is from. Every summer, I went to see my grandmother from probably the age of 6 to about 14 when I decided I didn't want to go back again. And I just want to share with you a quick little story. Every Sunday, we went to church, and our cousin Obie drove us to church in the back of his pickup truck because everybody in the neighborhood rode on the back of the pickup truck. And I was very confused when I was 6 years old because everybody put on white sheets on the pickup truck because you didn't want to mess up your church clothes. Because in Alabama, if you don't know anything, it's very red, very clay, and very dusty. So when they said you had to fear the people with the white robes on, I said, why would I fear myself? Why would I fear my family? We all wear white robes. Little did I know at the time, they were trying to save me and protect me and teach me, but I was confused because, see, I was only there for the summer. But I learned very quickly that it was okay for me to wear a white robe, but it really wasn't okay. It wasn't okay for anyone to wear a white robe because for me, it was protection from the dirt and the wind. But for others, it was for protection to conceal their identity. So, today, America, I believe we have come to a crossroads. We are no longer wearing the white sheets, whether it's to protect you from the dirt or whether it's to protect your identity. I think the world is watching, and they have seen us, and they are looking at us, and we have been disrobed. So when I say to you, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. We are going to have an opening prayer by Deacon Art Miller.
Please bow your heads to the God that you worship. Lord, there is so much to be done. Freedom from hate is righteous work, but heavy on my spirit. For too many, hatred goes unseen, unbelieved, or even harbored. Lord, you have sent a new breath in the young. Teach them peace. With them, Lord, I do believe we will begin to breathe. Amen.
Next, we will have a song by Nikita Waller, Connecticut State Troubadour. Nikita?
Thank you. We're here to honor Ahmad. We're here to honor George. We're here to honor Brianna. But we're also here to honor each and every one of us because we're here to make a change. Are you here to make a change? We gotta continue to press on. So I challenge you to not stay in the moment, but make a change. Do something about it. If you're in a position of authority, if you can just do something and pass it on and make something different, I challenge you again to change. I was born by the river in Littleton, oh, and just like that river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know in Windsor there's gonna be a change. Oh, yes it will. It's been too hard living, and I'm afraid to die, 'cause I don't know what's out there beyond the skies. It's been a long a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Then I go to my brother. And I say, Stephanie, help me please. Oh, please. But he keeps doing. Oh, the man's helping me stay on my feet. Oh, there's been times I tried to make it. I was afraid to go on. Then I know I had to keep on singing this here song. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikita. Change is gonna come. It's amazing because this morning when I woke up, that's the song that woke me up. So I know that we're in the right place at the right time because a change is gonna come. Next on our program is the welcome by the, we're gonna go with Reverend Art Miller, Deacon Art Miller. Come on down.
Yeah, I'm still me. There are so many events that are going on. I have another one after this, and I have to get to it, but this is my hometown. This is a place I moved when we came here. I'm from Chicago. And I want to tell you that 65 years ago, a schoolmate of mine, a friend, was murdered by the Klan. His murder changed what was then an ugly and horrible America. His name was Emmett Till. Emmett's death brought about dramatic change in our country. It forced our country and the government to look at the truth of what our country truly was. It has yet to face that truth, to believe that truth, to embrace the truth that our country is not yet what it says it is. I have, over the years, been arrested. I marched with King. I sat in the streets. The first time I went to jail was 1963. As I sat in silent protest against the ugliness that emerged from the roots of what America was. I was only 17 years old. And the change that I see is what we just prayed about. You see, what folks don't know is that the early civil rights movement was peopled by young folk my age. And this is what I see. Every place I go, from Simsbury to Middletown to Avon, are young people who no longer will accept what is happening in our country. I was arrested again just 5 years ago as I sat again in silent protest against the ugliness of police brutality. And I declared that Black Lives Matter 5 years ago. At my church, there's a lot of pushback. What do you mean Black Lives Matter? What do you mean? Don't all lives matter? And I had to explain over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And never did I ever believe, as I stood and looked at the young people, 500 strong, of white kids with signs saying Black Lives Matter. This is the change we've been waiting for. The time is now. Righteousness is on our side. The arc of the moral universe has bent towards justice and has met righteousness. The question is this: where will you be standing when they collide? That's our truth. So you go out and teach. I want you to be my ally when I'm not standing there. You be the ally in your workplace. And when somebody, this summer, when the Miss Rona has left, you know who Miss Rona is. Well, man, when Miss Rona gone, and you at one of those barbecues, you know, and your Aunt Millie or your Uncle Larry start having too much of that special punch, and they start talking about, well, you know, black people is. You know how them gay people are. You know how them Jews are. You know how them Hispanic, oh, them Muslims. When they start that stuff, you say, no, not in my house. Not in my family. And if you are in their house, you walk out and shake the dust from your feet in testimony against them. Don't give up. Don't give up. You stay strong when it's difficult. Peace.
Thank you, Deacon Miller. I'm here now to give you the housekeeping rules, which we should know them by heart, but I just want to make sure that we understand. Please wear your protective mask. It protects yourself and others. Please remember to stay 6 feet apart if the person next to you does not live in your household. Please keep all pets out of the area. If someone is disturbed, please feel free and move them. We are still pet friendly, but just in case. Please be patient with people. We have all been under a lot of stress lately. Please, no high fives or handshakes, but elbow bumps are accepted. If you get too hot, seek shelter in a shaded area. But I do believe God is smiling on us, and it is nice and cool. Be safe, be happy, be healthy. Next, we will hear from the Honorable Kevin Washington, Chairman of the Human Relations Commission.
Good afternoon, Windsor. How appropriate that I found that bell tolled when he was about to speak. Wake up, Windsor. You are one of the most culturally diverse towns in the state of 168 towns. If you do not stand up, who will? The senseless death of Mr. Floyd in Minneapolis has put a spotlight on the injustice that exists in our country. We know many of you are hurting, exhausted, angry, and discouraged right now, and just tired of being tired. What is taking place is further proof we must stand together, push for change, and help build a more inclusive society. It's not only what I believe, it is also at the core of the most basic principles of human rights and justice. In our town, diversity lives as we remember Mr. Floyd and uplift Black lives. We also must remember to include Latin lives, Muslim lives, Native Americans, Asian lives, Jewish lives, women's lives, LGBTQ, immigrants, the homeless, and all others underserved and marginalized by people. We have to take a stand to dismantle systematic racism in our town, in our state, in our nation. It is about more than police brutality. It is about structured racism that has been going on for decades and the negativity that it has brought us to this point. People say they don't see color. You have to see color. We have to remove this cancer from the picture and celebrate our beauty, culture, and differences. This is not a protest or a demonstration. It is an uplifting of those that are tired of being suppressed, looked over, forgotten, misunderstood, demoted, devalued, considered unintelligent, mistreated. We've had knee on our neck for a long time. We haven't been able to breathe for a long time. Maybe, just maybe, we can break down the barriers of racism and value the lives of Black and brown people and people of color by changing our policies, demanding change in our criminal justice system, making contributions to organizations and institutions committed to doing the work. To make change, it is possible, Windsor. No more lip service, but actually making things happen and doing the work. You and Windsor have a role on playing to change the future by making a positive impact on racial equality. We also know it takes more than talk, it takes action. Until we address the hard realities of racial discrimination and injustice, we will never achieve the best of what we can be. That flag that flies in the wind right there is for all of us, not just some of us. Do the work, people, do the work. It is my esteemed honor to welcome Senator Richard Blumenthal to our podium. Senator Blumenthal served an unprecedented 5 terms as Connecticut's Attorney General, fighting for people against large and powerful special interests. His aggressive law enforcement for consumer protection, environmental stewardship, labor rights, and personal privacy have helped reshape the role of state attorney generals nationwide and resulted in the recovery of hundreds of millions of dollars for Connecticut's taxpayers and consumers every year. A key player in the national fight against big tobacco, he helped bring an end to deceptive marketing aimed at children. A victory significantly lowering your smoking rates and compelling a multi-million-dollar settlement for Connecticut taxpayers. He also helped lead a coalition of all 50 states that culminated in historical agreements with social networking sites to better protect children from internet predators. As Attorney General, Senator Blumenthal advocated for reforms in the health issues industry to assure critical health coverage and lower pharmaceutical drug prices. He has worked relentlessly to eradicate corruption in state government and make state contracting accountable, fair, honest, and transparent. And I know that he will do his best to put this issue to rest as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Senator Richard Blumenthal.
Thank you so much. You know, I know we're supposed to practice physical distancing, but I want to tell you, you just got those instructions. If I had my way, I would hug every one of you who are here today. You are amazing. This crowd is awesome. And I say to my colleagues in the United States Senator, this is what democracy looks like. This is what America looks like. We're here today to make change in America. And in the midst of a pandemic, as you have heard, we still have an epidemic of racism in America, sickening virus of racism. And we can do something about it because, as you just heard, we need to do the work. We need to do the work, which means tomorrow in the United States Senate and the Congress, we're going to introduce a sweeping reform proposal. No more chokeholds. No more barriers to liability. No more concealment of disciplinary records. No more lynchings in America. And you be the judge, America, on Election Day. And ask where my colleagues stand. When you see something, if it's racism, say something. And if you say something and see something, do something. Silence is unacceptable in America. Now, we're here not just for one person who was a victim of unspeakable brutality and cruelty, caught on tape. We're here not only because of George Floyd. We're here not only because of Ahmaud Arbery. We're here not only because of Breonna Taylor, but literally hundreds and thousands of others who were not caught on tape, who every day have to experience this virus of racism. And it's not only about law enforcement or police, it is about education, the racism, the virus of racism in education, in housing, and yes, in healthcare. Why is it that the overwhelming burden of this disease has been borne by people of color and people in poor communities? We have a lot of work to do in America. But I am proud to be here today because we're here not only in anger and grief and sadness, we're here in hope. We're here to call for justice. In the greatest nation in the history of the world, we can do better. We can achieve justice, which is the reason why our veterans have fought for us. Thank you to our veterans for being here today. Thank you to all who have served, because you have fought for the freedoms that we need to make real for everyone. Real, not just in words, not just in rhetoric, but in action. And I say to you, we're here not only for anger and grief, we're here for the hope, the American dream, that is our duty to carry forward and never abandon. Thank you for being here today. We're going to make change in America. We're going to make that reform real for everyone, regardless of color, regardless of creed, regardless of religion. Everyone is equal in America, and we're going to make it real. Thank you so much. God bless you, and God bless our great country. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Mayor of Windsor, Mayor Donald Trentz.
Yeah, following Nikita and Art Miller and the senator is always easy. But I just wish, really, really wish, you out there can come up here and see what I see. It is mind-boggling. Yeah, give yourselves a, that's right. Now, this is not a replacement for with Shad Derby that we missed this year. There's no rides, but there's a message. And as I stand up here and I look out as a townie who's lived here all of my life, I'm almost at a loss for words. Almost. Don't get your hopes up. But what I think about here is this just amazing town, and the senator, you nailed it. Not only is it the nation, but this is Windsor. Is there anybody out there nervous about the person standing next to them? No. Not at all. In Windsor, we've built what I hope is a culture of tolerance and understanding. We've got First Church here, St. Gabriel's here, the Islamic Center here, all denominations, all colors, all ethnic groups, all together for one message, which is we've had enough. Now, thank you. As I sit here with my tie-dye, and I think of the 60s and how we're kind of going back. We had protests and demonstrations and tie-dye, and I went 4 months without a haircut. But this is the time, and we made baby steps in the 60s, we really did, but we gotta continue it. What happens all too often is we have an incident like this, everything kind of calms down and mellows, nothing really happens, and then another incident happens. We cannot wait for another incident to happen. No more people need to die. Now, you will hear from our chief of police. You'll hear from our superintendent of schools. And from the government side, years ago we had the conversations on race. We had the One Book, One Windsor. We're going to get those started again. We're going to keep the conversations going. And we're going to keep Windsor as a model community so we don't have violence here. This crowd is just extraordinary. And the biggest thing, as the senator alluded to, is everybody on this green that's 18 or over should be registered to vote. And while this is not a political...
I just have to pause for a brief commercial as our mayor just talked about voting. Please, if you are not registered to vote, the devastating divas of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated are right over here, and they will get you registered to vote.
This is why I love serving the town, and I love the people I serve with. So now that I'm totally off where I was going, so make sure that your voice is heard, and voting is the way to do it. We started this back in the 60s, and voter registration is huge. Make people accountable. Don't let your elected officials get complacent. The senator will be the first one to come up and say, absolutely, you make your state senators accountable, you make your congressman accountable, you make your town council people, don't make the mayor, he's kind of a good guy. But everybody else, you make them accountable for what they do, what they say, and what kind of tone that they send. That's where it starts. So, listen, we even got the bikers supporting us. This is pretty cool. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get through this. I love that you're all wearing masks. We've got this COVID thing going on. We're going to get through that. We're going to get through this a better community. We're going to be a stronger community. We're going to be an accountable community. And we're going to be a safe and a respectful community as we've always been. And as always, stay Windsor strong. Thank you.
Next, we will hear from one of our youth speakers. But I have to say, Windsor, I have never been so proud in all my life as I look out and see the shining sea. Our senator, our mayor, they all speak with elegance, but I can tell you from deep down within my heart, I am so pleased because our senator he doesn't know this, but he has helped me on many occasions. Our mayor has helped me. So I know the words that they're speaking now aren't just words. They are words with action. And we need to know that when we have someone that takes action, we need to take action and tell them, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, my next speaker is Jaireen Moore. He's a youth speaker. He's a Windsor graduate. He's 22 years old, and he is eager to serve. Jaireen Moore, come on down.
My apologies for the lack of eye contact I'm about to make in a moment. I just need you to know how passionate, how serious I am about this topic. And I want you to make sure that I'm saying this perfectly clear for everyone to understand. Black Lives Matter is a rallying cry for the families and victims who suffer at the hands of unjust and inhumane vigilantes, such as George Zimmerman to Amber Geiger. It's unfortunate that no matter what reality we try to live in, there's no way for us to ignore what's truly going on any longer. George Floyd, regardless of occupation or appearance, this black man gave the officers no reason to murder him. He complied and should have been taken into custody. He should have been immediately released and at the very least received a fair trial in the court of law in front of a jury of his peers. Unfortunately, this is not the world we currently live in. I can remember when I was young, back in 2004, my uncle was attacked by the Hartford police after a mix-up in suspect's identity after a group of people left the club on a fateful night. What was an act of intentional harm to a civilian got painted as an accident with reasonable doubt. It took my uncle 15 years to get justice for destroying his promising career as a pro athlete. The Hartford police mercilessly beat him, crippling him with various surgeries as an everlasting reminder of what those ratchet souls did and will continue to do to black men, women, and children if we don't stand up and fight for ourselves. We are here to demand more than just justice for the improper and blatant disregard of human life of our family, friends, and black people all around the world. To live in the progressive era that is still burning is infuriating. The fact that my mind is still registering Ahmaud Arbery's murder only to go to work and come home after a long day, turn on the news to see more COVID-19 updates, only to see George Floyd with a knee to his neck on national TV, and his life gone in an instant. We say we care about our lives, but we love watching people die in front of our face. The body cams on cop cars made us too desensitized. Despite being all caught on camera, not once did anyone try to reasonably call out to their colleagues. Instead, they just joined in. 4 cops to subdue an already handcuffed man? Where does this madness end, man? For real. I know we black, but we ain't the Hulk. I've been seeing a lot of people asking why we react in a manner of rage. Why can't peace and love conquer all, right? And it's because we tried it in the 60s and the 70s. Fighting against supremacy and war against Vietnam with love proved insufficient. They shot students, veterans, freedom fighters, all alike in cold blood. And that's only a taste of what suffering is to black folk who made this very day possible. The fact that this whole crowd is as diverse as it is right now. Some people try to deny history, but my people truly never forgot. You have to understand that this is the fear that is expressed about police in black homes. We fear them because we understand that form of vigilantism by loose cannon and racist cops. Yes, there's a difference between the good ones. We understand that, all right? Like the black codes then and the KKK to the boys in blue now. I was put on this world to empathize with all, which is why I can understand the good kid that turned into a cop because they wanted to do right and be a hero and save good guys from the bad guys, right? Only to find out the good guys you've been saving and working for your whole lives have been the demons all along you've been protecting. It ain't right. It's sad. It's sad to admit your world isn't what reality is showing you. And that's how me and my people, even on this stage to the crown, have been forced to live for generations. We came from being considered 3/5 of a human. 3/5 of a human being, bruh. Even with all these systemic affiliations set out to murder my people, hundreds of thousands have died, but we multiply so much that the Donald Sterlings of the world can't try to escape us any longer. They probably working on a way to space as we speak. However, despite the tough times and recent triumphs at the expense of innocent black blood spilling, there has never been an era where so many Americans of all races and nationalities have come together in unison. However, despite tough times and recent triumphs at the expense of innocent black blood spilling, there has never been, oh, my fault. Let me get my mind right. I'm too deep in here, my fault. All right. Regardless of your internal reasons for joining us today, be justified or not, that subconscious thought of right or wrong is in each and every living and breathing person in this town, state, and country. There are those that speak up and blow the whistle at unfair practices and pay the harshest of consequences, like Frank Wills with the Watergate scandal in Washington, D.C., to Colin Kaepernick with his nonviolent protest with the NFL. Every hero gets their life taken while we sit helplessly. But with their fates spawned our determination to keep the revolution moving forward. As of this day, we owe it to our fallen heroes, Tatiana Jefferson, Hadiya Ali Franco, Khalif Snowden, Botham Jean, Sandra Bland, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd, to reject the oppressed system we were forced into. Use our faith, that guilt, that anger, to galvanize your fire, to defend ourselves from oppression, to create our own opportunities, our own communities, invest in our people, educate all youth, empower each other. Fighting side by side is the only way we will truly triumph in the new era, where black doesn't mean a target or a red flag for improper business practices, but a human, a hero, a civilian. Next time we say we can't breathe, those voices, you better listen. Thank you, Windsor. I love y'all all. This is my hometown. Step finest. We here for you, baby.
say but thank you, Jaireen. Thank you, thank you. Once again, this is a homegrown Windsor resident. We need to give a bigger hand of applause for that. This is our child. This is our baby. If you don't know by now, I'm an educator and I take our children serious. Because you know what? Young people today, we can say a lot of things about the young people today, but let me tell you a little secret. This young man sought me out because he wanted his message to go out to you. He's passionate. If you are out there and you want to be a part of his cause, you need to see him because he's going to be something. He's going to say something. He's going to lead something. His name is Jaireen Moore. Thank you.
Thank you, young man. I appreciate it. And I must comment exactly what the mayor said. If you all could see what I see from up here, it's a beautiful picture. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is Chief Donald Melanson, the Chief of Police of Windsor.
Talk about a tough act to follow. Wow. Nothing to the senator or to the mayor. I would much rather follow you than follow Mr. Moore. Great speech, and I love the passion. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the men and women of the Windsor Police Department, our hearts go out to the family of George Floyd, his community, and to all those that have been wrongly treated by police officers throughout our country. We are blessed to be part of such a diverse and welcoming community that is Windsor. And I agree, looking out at this crowd is just amazing, the diversity that we see here. I am proud to serve with the men and women of the Windsor Police Department who are devoted to providing professional policing to all those in our community with honesty and integrity. We have all seen the horrific video of the Minneapolis police officer who took the life of George Floyd. We are sickened by it. That is not policing. There can be no justification for that officer's actions. There should never be cause for the callous and inhumane treatment of any person, especially from law enforcement. Although this person was wearing a uniform, in my eyes, that was not a police officer I saw. Not any police officer that I know. And he was definitely not a Windsor police officer. Just as you, we too are angered. Angered there at those in our profession that tarnish our badge and what we stand for. We are sad. We're sad that because of this incident and those like it, we have to work harder. And there are those that look at our uniform and not see who we are as individuals, but judge us by the uniform we wear. That's not who we are. But we're resolved. We're resolved to continue to work with all of you on building and improving our relationships with you, because we know that together we do this. Our philosophy is to treat everyone with dignity, courtesy, and respect. We know that every encounter we make makes a difference in someone's life. We hope that it's always a good difference. Given all that has occurred, our officers will continue to uphold all that is good in our profession. We will continue to make positive impacts in people's lives. Yet we know we can't do this alone. We can only be successful if we work together with all of you. We will ensure that accountability and transparency to those we serve are not just words, but are a foundation to build trust and legitimacy with you. What we saw in video will never happen in Windsor. Our officers will not allow that to happen in Windsor. Rightfully so, that officer, along with those that stood by and did nothing, were arrested. There will be justice. Their day is coming. Please know that we are Windsor. It is only together with your support and collaboration that the Windsor Police Department can carry out our mission of making Windsor a community where dreams can come true. As a community, we are stronger together. God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you.
Next, we have another youth speaker. Her name is Priska Afancho, and she represents Windsor High. She is a junior, and she is with the club Black Excellence.
So I wrote this while I was reflecting on the fact that I felt like I was always mourning. I saw Trayvon Martin murdered because someone was threatened by his blackness when I was in elementary school. And when I was in middle school, I saw Eric Garner murdered by the police. And I felt like I was always seeing my people murdered. So when you find yourself mourning, one of the hardest things to process is the idea that 1 second, someone can be alive and well, and the next, they're just gone. This is especially difficult to process when the death is caused by hate and corruption, like the deaths of Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and every other Black person who has been targeted by police brutality. But something I've been thinking of lately is the principle that no energy is ever destroyed. I find comfort in the fact that the love and light that each and every one of these people carried in their lives is still here. I find comfort in the fact that although we may feel weighed down by what we are fighting against, what we are fighting for is much more powerful. What we are fighting for, justice, peace, and dismantling harmful systems, is rooted in love, which I think is the strongest thing. So as we continue to fight for them and we engage in our different forms of activism, we have to remember that none of these actions are in vain. We have to remember that clearly our choice to choose love and justice is not a mistake, because otherwise, why would those who choose hate and corruption be so threatened by it? Sometimes it feels like our energy is going nowhere, but it is really being built up. The energy that's been sparked in the wake of these deaths, especially after George Floyd's death, can be felt all over the world, as so many of us are speaking up and protesting for what we know is right. That is the same energy that can be felt in moments of community like this vigil, or the other events calling for unity across the state. Even if we don't get everything we want immediately, we have to remember that struggle is a sign of life, and our energy, our goals, our passion can't be destroyed as long as we hold on to it. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is Iman Sofwan.
I want everybody to look around you, to look at the person next to you, to look at the person behind you, and get to see the ocean of people that are in front of me and all the speakers have been talking about. Look, don't look at me. What are you doing? And I want you to see the faces of all the people that I see. Black, white, brown, every color that the human being can have, I see it in front of me. And all of us came out today for one simple reason. We didn't come out because there's food for us. There's no food, right? If there is, let me know. We didn't come out because the weather is beautiful. Rain or shine, we would have been here. We are here for one simple reason. Because we see injustice in America far too common now. And even though we look around us and we see everybody showing support, solidarity against injustice, standing for justice, well, let me tell you something. That's where Windsor may be today, but that's not where America is. That's where Windsor may be today. That's where parts of Connecticut may be today, but that's not where America is, and definitely not where America has been. America for long has been kneeling, putting their knees on the neck of black Americans. For how many decades, heck, how many hundreds of years, black Americans have been saying, I can't breathe. Let me walk, let me jog, and let me talk. And yet they're gunned down. And we know, as a Muslim, I know that if somebody was to be killed, a human being was to be killed, only one. As God says in the Quran, if one human being was to be killed, it is as if you have killed all of humanity. How many George Floyds have there been? How many Ahmaud Arbery's have there been? This is not something just in Chicago, just in the South, just in West Haven. We had Mubarak Suleiman who was gunned down in his car. How many hashtags have there been? And how many people, how many black Americans have there been who have gone through the justice system? Too many. Too many. You're right, too many to count. Well, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something if I can. As I see all these people, all of us together, this is not where America may be today, but this is where America can go. This is not where America may be today, maybe in other parts of the country. I spent a lot of time in Texas, and let me tell you what, you might not see that there. You might not see this over there. But guess what? Today, Windsor, as it stands, is an example of where America can go. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. A lot of the work has been done by black Americans, but a lot of work has to be done by those of us who are not black. For a lot of us who are not black, I am not blind. I may be brown, but I am not black. That is not the same. But I can see it, I can hear it, and by God, I can feel the injustice of this country. But we are going to persevere, and I want you all to make a promise to yourself that today is not the last day. That today is not definitely wasn't the first day, but it's not going to be the last day. Ask every single one of you. You have your families. You have a dinner table where you eat. You have your cousins. You have a sphere of influence around you. Ask yourself, what can I do? What can I do? The moments of speeches are many. The moments of rallies are many. The moments of protest are many. But what can you say when you leave this place and say, what can I do? Remember that verse that I mentioned in the beginning where if you kill one human being, it's as if you've killed all of humanity? Well, the verse just ends in a different way. It says, if you have saved one human being, then you have saved all of humankind. Save a life today. Save the Ahmaud Arbery, the George Floyds, the Breonna Taylors of today. And see the change that you want to see. Thank you.
Okay, Joyce. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the Superintendent of Windsor Schools, Dr. Craig Cook.
Thank you. What a beautiful crowd today. It is amazing to stand here and look out, and I see so many of our teachers, so many of our staff members, so many of our administrators, our Board of Education members. It's great to see this, but most importantly, I see so many of our students. And I know so many of our students so many more of our students would be here as well, I know, if they felt it was safe. And so many of our alumni are here, and it's amazing, because those are who we put our faith in. And so what I'm here to share today is just a little bit about what we are doing in Windsor, because we are taking action. This is not just something that we talk about anymore, but we need to do so much more. So we do work hard to make our staff reflect as closely as possible the 75% of students of color that enter our school doors every day. It is so important for us to do that work, but we will not stop. We will not stop there, and so that is so important. We do required trainings, we do conversations, we do so much that is there, but we have so much more to do, because I tell you, as I stand here as a white man who leads a district with 75% of students of color, I am scared. I am scared that as our students leave Windsor, they leave a place that is so kind and so supportive and is so far, but they go into a world that is not in that place. So in Windsor Public Schools, where we have a great relationship with our Windsor Police Department, we have great relationship throughout our town, and this is Windsor right here. So many people, that came out today, and again, so many more would have come out, I know. We are scared, and I've seen it in the face of our principals as we had discussions this week, and they were in tears as they talked about their students, and they talked about students who have left us and their concern for them and their concern for our students in the school. So I commit to you today, as I have, and we will do better. We will continue to do that work. We will continue to be the model school district in Connecticut for this work, and I am so proud of what we've done, but we have so much more to do. And we will turn that fear into action. We will not turn that fear into inaction. We will turn that fear into action. And I'm so excited to continue to do this work, because it is the most important thing we do. So thank you for your time. Thank you all for coming out. It's great to be here.
Ladies and gentlemen, State Senator Douglas Macquarie.
Wow, some great speakers. I think everything that has been said needed to be said. I just say this to my friends who are not black. We're often asked, how do you feel? And I'll be honest with you, I don't speak for all black people, I speak for a whole lot of them. And I'll tell you, this is how we feel. We're angry. We're upset. We're scared. We are numb. And that's because Langston Hughes taught us about, we wear the mask, and we disguise it and we cover it up every single day in every industry we work in. Because we have to wear this mask, because we have to hide how we honestly feel. But today, as I listen to these young folks, that mask is off, and you're gonna hear from us. And sometimes those conversations are gonna be a little uncomfortable. In every industry, you're gonna have to speak to us. And I need folks who are not black, just all I need you to do is listen. I just need you to listen for a moment. I don't need any advice, I need you to listen. Because my responsibility after this is over, after rallies, after the marches, we have to turn this moment into a movement. And a movement requires sacrifice. Sacrifice from those who are in power, who have been in power for so long. Because if we want to make America great, which I know we can by the diversity we have here, we have to work together. And that means you're going to have to give up some of your power and work with us together. And I need to see you. I need to see you not tomorrow. I need to see you next month when we put a plan to the government of the state of Connecticut and say, these are the reforms we need in every industry, whether it's healthcare, whether it's housing, whether it's the criminal justice system. We're going to put some forms together that you're going to have to support. And I know it's going to be uncomfortable for some of my people because you get support from us every time we go to elections, and voting is so important, but voting is not going to change all of this. This is an economic issue. It's a healthcare issue. But more importantly, it's an issue that is important to you and I. So I'm going to use my last 10 seconds to say this. Please, folks, please listen to the young people. Please listen to our voices when we come to you. Please open your eyes and ears up and listen to what we're going to say, because we have solutions, but our solutions have been quieted over the last 400 years. And if you are surprised about what you saw to Brother George, then you've been asleep at the wheel, because we've been saying this over and over and over again. And I think, unfortunately, it took a man's death before everyone's eyes for everybody to woke up and listen. Imagine for 300 years I've been crying out, we've been crying out, you haven't listened. Brother George, thank you. Your life will not be in vain. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Windsor Town Council member, Councilor Nugent Black.
Good afternoon. When I was asked to participate, I was asked to share from the place of the Black mother. I am a Black mother. I have 2 Black sons, 2 young, aspiring, talented, educated Black sons. So today, I want you to pause for a moment and go with me as I talk to you about the Black mother's cry. Emmett Till was 15 in 1955. Amadou Diallo, 23 in 1999. Oscar Grant, 22 in 2009. Their mothers cried. Trayvon Martin, 17 in 2012. Tamir Rice, the tender age of 11 in 2014. Michael Brown, 18 in 2014. And their Black mothers, they cried. Eric Garner, 44 in 2014. Freddie Gray, 25 in 2015. Philando Castile, 32 in 2016. And guess what? You can say it with me. Their Black mothers, what did they do? They cried. Alton Sterling, 37 in 2016. Stephon Clark, 22 in 2018. Ahmaud Arbery, 23 in 2020. And guess what? Their mothers, they are still crying. They are still crying. This Black mother, I cried with them. And I told myself I wasn't gonna cry, but I cry with them. Why? Because I have a 13-year-old. I have a 5-year-old. And every time they go out of my doors, they go out of my sight, my heart aches. It hurts. I am scared and I am mad. I am mad. I would say mad as hell, but my pastor might be here. These mothers, they cry gut-wrenching groans in pain. Why? Because they're educated, talented, beautiful, handsome Black sons were snatched prematurely because someone saw fear when they saw the color of their skin. Someone thought that they were less than, subpar. And not just the individuals that were called to protect and serve. We like to beat up on the police, but I'm an educator, so I'm gonna say it. When they go out to school, how do we view our Black boys? How do we view our Black girls? I can talk about a black girl because I was that opinionated. If you haven't noticed yet, I was that opinionated black girl who oftentimes people saw me as wanting to battle or wanting to debate. No, I was educated, wanting to use my brain, but the fear of my skin is all that you can see. So as this black mother, I am still crying, and I will continue to cry until justice is served, until policies are changed, until laws are put into place to protect my black son, to protect everyone's son. So today, as I close, I thank you, because today you came out and you spoke up. But what I need you to do tomorrow is to continue to stand up, to continue to stand against racism. And lastly, what I ask you to do more than anything else is every time you have an opportunity to impact change, whether it's through your voice, whether it's coming out to a community conversation like this, or standing, do just that. Don't be silent, because your silence speaks volumes. Use your voice, because you know what? Black mothers, we are still crying. Thank you.
Mother to Son by Langston Hughes. Well, son, I tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It's had tacks in it, and splinters, and boards torn up, and places with no carpet on the floor bare. But all the time, I've been climbing on and reaching landings and turning corners, and sometimes going in the dark where there ain't been no light. But boy, don't you turn back. Don't you sit down on them steps, 'cause you find it kinda hard. You don't fall now, for I still going, honey. I still climbing, and life for me ain't been no crystal stair. Langston Hughes.
I'm sorry to occupy your Sunday, but this is better than CNN and Fox. If Jim Burke is in the audience, would you please come to the stage, please? Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you our Honorable State Representative, Brandon McGee.
Sometimes I don't even know what to say. But on today, my heart is heavy, but it's overwhelmed by the view of this beautiful town, black, brown, white, all walks of life. I shared a poem in the town of Blumenthal the other day, and it's worth repeating again. Enough is enough. This is out of control. Stand up, black man, stand up. Stand up, white allies, stand up. We watch video of knee on throat and life slowly slipping away because you fit the description of a forgery suspect, judge, juror, and executioner, George Floyd. We can't go jogging, Ahmaud Arbery. We can't relax in the comfort of our own homes, Mr. Jean and Tatiana Jefferson. We can't ask for help after being in a car crash, Jonathan Farrell and Renisha McBride. We can't have a cell phone, Stephon Clark. We can't leave a party to get to safety, Jordan Edwards. We can't play loud music, Jordan Davis. We can't sell CDs, Alton Sterling. We can't sleep, Ayanna Jones. We can't play cops and robbers, Tamir Rice. We can't go to church, Charleston 9. We can't walk with Skittles, Trayvon Martin. We can't hold a hairbrush while leaving our own bachelor party, Sean Bell. We can't party on New Year's, Oscar Grant. We can't lawfully carry a weapon, Philando Castro. We can't, Philando Castile. We can't breathe, or we can't breathe. We cannot breathe. We can't breathe. We can't break down on a public road with our car. Corey Jones, you can't shop at Walmart. John Crawford, you can't have a disabled vehicle. Terrence Crutcher, we can't read a book in our own car. Keith Scott, we can't be a 10-year-old walking with our grandfather. Clifford Glover, we can't decorate for a party. Claudette Reese, we can't ask a cop a question. Randy Evans, we can't cash our check in peace. Yvonne Smallwood, we can't take out our wallets. Armando Dalio, we can't run. Walter Scott, we can't breathe. Eric Gardner, we can't live. Freddie Gray, we're tired of being sick and tired. So Windsor, white people, Windsor, black people, Windsor, all people, stand with us. Put your fists in the air and stand against racism. Stand against hatred. Let's stand together and realize that Black lives matter. We love you, Windsor. Let's keep fighting.
Next to the microphone is our chair for the Windsor Democratic Committee, Adam Gutchin.
"2020, huh? A year of pestilence, a year of rage, a year of despair. Surely a year to forget, right? Say it again. No. 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 This is a year we remember. For 2020 will be a famous year. We know already that this is an inflection point in history. Decades from now, we'll be asked where we were in 2020. Were we there? Did we listen? And did we remember? Were we there for the liberation of our brethren from fear? And what did we do to keep up the fight? Was 2020 the year that we ended lip service, the year that we broke from the pattern of hearing, seeing, forgetting, moving on, then waiting for the next crisis? No, 2020 is the year we will break from this pattern. We will be asked. We'll be asked what we did to preserve the memory of our sorrow and our shame. So the change that will come out of this year endures. We've had a good amount of poetry today, and sometimes poetry speaks best. I'd like to read just the final 2 paragraphs or stanzas of a poem that was written at another inflection point in our history. It's called September 1st, 1939, by W.H. Auden. All I have is a voice to undo the folded lie, the romantic lie in the brain of the sensual man in the street, and the lie of authority whose buildings grope the sky. There is no such thing as the state, and no one exists alone. Hunger allows no choice to the citizen or the police. We must love one another or die. Defenseless under the night, our world in stupor lies, yet dotted everywhere, ironic points of light flash out wherever the just exchange their messages. May I, composed like them of Eros and of dust, beleaguered by the same negation and despair, show an affirming flame.
Next, we will have another selection for Nikita Waller.
When the night has come on, put your hands together. And the land is dark, and the moon is the only light we'll see.
There you go.
No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't shed a tear. Just as long as you stand by me. I hear you, James. So, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Sing it. Stand by me. Come on. Stand by me. When the sky we look upon should tumble and fall, and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't shed a tear. Just as long as you stand by me. You can sing this song. Come on. So,
Darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Stand by me. Stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, oh, stand. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Good job. Good job.
Thank you, Nikita. Thank you, thank you. Next, we will have Ustawanta Neon.
Hi, my name is Ustawanta Yang. I'm a graduate from Windsor High School. And I'm a junior at the University of Connecticut. What does it mean to be Black in America? Being Black in America is an experience that you can only have, obviously, if you are Black in America. All stories are generally the same, whether you identify as first-generation American, African American, Afro-Latinx, or just Black. All the stories will blend in together to form one unified narrative that truly grasps the meaning of being Black in America. Being Black in America is hearing, "You smell like outside. I'm not one of your little friends. I brought you into this world and I can take you out." But also means hearing, when you get pulled over by the police, make sure to keep your hands on the dashboard. And under no circumstances do you move. Listen to everything they say carefully. Call them sir or ma'am. Don't give them a reason to arrest you, and you should be fine. Don't let anyone tell you that you're beautiful for a Black girl, because you are beautiful, period. You have to work twice as hard to get half of what they have.
Being black in America means sitting down in the family room watching documentaries of people like James Baldwin, Angela Davis, Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, and Martin Luther King Jr. But then just a few years later in elementary school and all the way through high school, hearing a watered-down version of the truth and learning that some of them were murdered by the same system that continuously, systematically oppresses black people. Being black in America is trying your best in school so that you would be able to succeed and defeat the narrative that black people are lazy, but then being labeled as white whenever you got good grades. Being labeled black in America is cookouts with families and friends, the silent head nod whenever you see another black person anywhere, and the language that only your fellow black people will truly understand. But this also means being asked, "You seriously don't like watermelon?" Yes, someone did ask me that. Having awkward interactions with white people at the supermarket when they don't smile back. Being told you sound too ghetto when you use specific language. Being black in America is seeing yourself in the media, but it also means seeing yourself in the media. Being black in America is box braids, the smell of that flat iron on your hair as you hear the crackles go, as they reach the ends. The smells of oils and the wincing of the pain as your mom makes you wear cornrows. But it also means being told that your hair is unprofessional, but then seeing other people of color and white people getting praised for the same hairstyles you begged your mom not to give you because it made you look weird. Being black means loving and embracing your culture, blasting music so that everyone can hear it, conversing about all the ins and outs of how our culture caused a shift in mainstream consumption. But it also means that other people that don't look like us will appropriate our culture and get applauded for it. Being black in America means getting suspended at school, but then realizing that your white friend did the same thing and only got a detention. Being black in America means being so glad that you finally got pregnant, but knowing that you are 243%, let me say that again, 243% more likely to die in childbirth. 243% more likely to die of pregnancy-related illnesses. Being black in America means not being heard enough, being stepped over, not being the head of conversations, being talked over, being told your problems aren't even problems, being pushed around, being too loud, being killed. Being black in America is a death sentence. Although most Americans would like to believe that we've moved past the part in our history where racism exists, when you're black in America, you know that we are far from that part in our history. In fact, this isn't history repeating itself, it's the present. It's now and we're living in it. Truth be told, our neighborhoods are over-policed. Our youth are 3 times more likely to get suspended from the same infractions as white children. We are refused loans. We were pushed out of the suburbs. We get called racial slurs not only in line, but in face-to-face interactions. People ask to touch our hair as if we're pets. Our hearts race when we see those blue and red lights. Our parents fear for our lives when we get our licenses. This isn't something that we woke up one day and started to believe. This is a product of centuries of systematic racism and oppression. Despite all of this, and so much more, we don't let this define us. From 2019, having Lonnie Bunch being the first African-American secretary of the Smithsonian, to 1738, where the first African-American community was built. We've overcome every single obstacle that society has put upon us, and we are not done yet. There's still too much work to be done, and until we stop mourning our youth too early, our mothers and fathers, siblings, and loved ones aren't laid to rest as a result of police brutality, we will never be done with our purpose. I urge you to take the time and educate yourselves on the true history of America and the true history of what it means to be black in America. Continue to sign petitions, donate, protest, vote for the officials that will bring about change in our communities. Vote out the ones who stay silent on these issues. Understand what it truly means to defund the police. Educate your children and let them know to be silent is to be complicit. And do not stop because justice has been brought to one family, because there are so many more that are mourning. Regardless of everything we've been through and continue to go through, being black in America means fighting, demanding justice, being proud, and never letting up. Being black in America is everything. Thank you.
once again, Windsor, one of your own, and she represented you well. Give her another round of applause, people. That's a Windsor High graduate who has an opinion, but more than just an opinion, she has a message. Please work with our young women, work with our young men. They are eager and ready to serve. How do I say that again? They are ready and eager to serve. Next on the program, I just want to let you know something. How does the world right now view America? This morning on the CBS channel, China said, "You're no longer number one. You're hiding behind the walls that you built a few days ago. How dare you lecture us about fair treatment of your people? When do you allow citizens to be killed on TV in cold blood? Where was the empathy of your top leaders in America today?" France said, "Our democracy is flawed." England said, "We can't believe the disrespect that our government has seen from your government towards its black citizens. You're no longer the world power of the past." Mexico, you know them people, the ones that you said y'all wanted to build a wall for. "Every nation has its time, and it's time for America to fall from grace." Germany said, "America can no longer be trusted. We must stand up for ourselves because they don't stand up for themselves." Canada, well, they illustrated their situation. They did it well. They had the 45th president knee on the neck of Lady Liberty. His knee was on the neck for, and this is a picture, for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. That's what the world thinks of America today. But we are here, and we know that just as fast as they can tear us down, we will build America back. Because all people in America don't feel the same way. But it is your job to let the people who represent us know that. Next on the program is Pastor Sam Saylor.
I'm bringing greetings from Almighty God himself. Greetings in his name. I couldn't ask for a better opportunity to come up and speak. The young lady spoke about the attitudes of people around the world. And I asked God, what should I share with the people today? 2 days ago, I was in Portland, Connecticut, and they were standing up for the same echoing that we need and awakening that we need in America. 40 years ago, about a month and a half from now, I survived police brutality. I lost a tooth in front of my mouth, 13 stitches on my left hand here, begged for my life, and somehow I made it home that night. I was only 2 houses away from home. 2 cities up from here, my brother-in-law didn't make it home. He was killed when police shoved a fire hose down his mouth to try and regurgitate some drugs that he swallowed. That pain continues to reverberate in my community and my family. I had an issue with policemen after that night. I went through the course of suing them, won the suit and everything, but I still had an issue. I couldn't walk by one without wanting to hurt them, wanting to go the other direction. And I had to turn for God for healing. Because young men was coming to me wanting to go and be police officers, peace officers, people in my family, even my nephew is a police officer in this town. And I had to gain a newfound respect for policemen, these men and women who put the suit on every day and actually want to go out and serve their community. 8 years ago, they did that for me when my son was murdered. They worked overtime to find the murderer of my son. If it wasn't for them, they said, and the unprecedented support of the community, my son's murder would not have been found. That meant a lot to me. And maybe about 4 years ago, when my granddaughter got snatched up in some sex trafficking issue, they turned on the burners for me to find my granddaughter that day. I gained a newfound respect for policemen, the hours that they put in. That's not why we're here, the good policemen and women who actually put their lives on the line for the storyline, the narrative that we want in our city. I'm reminded of a story out of the Bible when God himself had a conversation with Cain. Cain was perseverating a harmful situation with his brother Abel. And God counseled him and said, Cain, if you just do right, because evil is crouching at your door. And that's what's going on in America now. Evil is taking a front seat in our narrative in America. But your presence here today is saying something different. There's an awakening going over America today that feeds into this this current president we have when he says, "Make America great again." I had to look through my history books and find out, when was America ever great? For me. When was it ever great? For me. I found the date. A date America filled the preacher's vision of his dream when he said, one day my children will be judged by the content of their character and not by the color of their skin. I said, well, okay, when did that dream come to a reality? In 2008, a man named Barack Obama, what a name, a product of an interracial marriage of an African man and a woman from Kansas. Junior senator ran for office on change you can count on. Nearly 60 million people voted for him on the content of his character and not the color of his skin. Do the math. We're only 12 to 14% of the population in America. Somewhere, somehow, some folks judged them that we're not black by the content of his character. And his character was examined. You know it was. But yet they voted for him, and then they said yes to that in 2012 by almost the same numbers when they said nobody can get elected with unemployment as high as it is. But again, America said we will judge him by the content of his character, not the color of his skin. That, to me, is the greatest moment in American history until now, until I can look out into a sea of folk in a town where my grandchildren grow up in, church members live in, are saying that we have awakened to the injustice of our brothers and sisters of color who have spent the last 400 years building this country, paving the roads, making a way. And we have gained and we have lost. We have lost more than we gained, but yet we continue to fight beside you, stand with you. This still represents the greatest land in the world. And your presence here says that we will keep it that way. We can make it a great again, to the point where we'll get to folk and make sure they got equal opportunity. The knee is still on our necks. When you look at commercials and see no black people in it, the knee is still on our necks. When you look at your house 5 rows down that way and 5 rows down that way, and there are no black people living in it, the knee is on your neck. You go a little further and find out the banks are not giving us loans for our businesses and our homes. The knee is still on our neck. When you sit in the classroom and you're realizing that you don't see kids of color, you don't see the salad bowl of America, not the melting pot, but the salad bowl, the knee is still on our neck. When you go into hospitals and I see black doctors and black lawyers in the courtrooms, the knee is still on our neck. And we're counting on you like Frederick Douglass counted on you, like Sojourner Truth counted on you, like Harriet Tubman counted. There are people in America that want to make America great and keep it great. We represent the greatest free country in the world. And people are counting on us making it great again, turning this into a national movement. It is an order coming from God. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. We wrestle against powers, sinister powers in dark places that's animating the lives of people. But God is counting on you. Counting on you to step up and make the difference. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, State Representative Bobby Gibson.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am State Representative Bobby Gibson. I represent the 15th District, which is Windsor and Bloomfield. But today I come here more than just being your state representative. I come here as a black man who has a story. Before I tell you my story, one of the things I do want to point out is the ladies of Delta Sigma Theta in their voting booth. Please sign up to vote. Thank you, sorors and other members of the Divine Nine who are here today. Thank you for your support, but please sign up to vote. But again, I'm coming to you not as your state representative, I'm coming to you as a black man because I have a story. I have a story that's probably similar to a lot of stories of you there in the crowd today. You see, as a child, I was born in Georgia, and my parents moved up to Connecticut because they wanted a better way of life. They couldn't find good employment in the country town in which I was born. And we ended up moving to Connecticut. And my father got a job at Pratt & Whitney. My mom raises as a stay-at-home mom until she could not do that any longer because we needed money, and so she got a job in the cafeteria, and she was the ice cream lady. And my story is probably similar, like I said, to some of your stories, and probably similar to George Floyd's story. The story of a man who was just trying to make it, just trying to live his life, just trying to give back to America. When I speak, sometimes I speak of a king, actually a prince. His name was Windsor Smith. Windsor Smith was a prince in Africa that was enslaved. He came from a country, a continent, full of mathematicians and scientists and engineers and riches and kings and queens. He was enslaved, and he was brought to America against his will. Windsor Smith, though, didn't let that hold him down. Windsor Smith worked hard. He earned his freedom. He earned his family's freedom. He purchased property, and he contributed to this country that we call America. That story is the story of all of us, that we've come here and we've contributed to this country. But as black people, we have a little bit of a different journey. You see, when we came here against our will in 400 years ago, we came here against our will, but we came here and we built this country. This country is interwoven in our history. We're not looking for a handout because we have come here and we've helped build roads and houses and we've helped build plantations and we picked cotton and we've given and we built this country. However, in those 400 years, the one thing that existed then and still exists now, and as a science teacher, I tell you, it's called CO, it's called carbon monoxide. It's called carbon dioxide because it's a poisonous gas that's in the air. And this is the gas called racism. Racism is an invisible gas that exists in this country, and it has to go. And in America, we have to understand that that gas has to go. Does America understand that it was not okay for Amy Cooper to walk her dog in New York and have a black man say, "Ma'am, can you leash your dog?" And she reaches into her toolbox, her pocket, and goes into another character and calls the police and says, "This black man is trying to hurt me. Come help me." America, that is not okay. America, do you understand that it's not okay for Patricia Ripley to have an autistic son, murder him, and call the police and blame it on a black man? America, that is not okay. America, do you understand that is not okay for Derek Chauvin to put his knee on the neck of a black man and kill him? America, that is not okay. America, as a child, it was not okay for me to go to a carnival and as a little kid try to work a carnival ride, and I just couldn't do it. But to have a group of white kids say, "That N-word, that N, come on, you could do it, N, you could do it," that's not okay. It's not okay for me as a black man to walk down a hall or walk down the side of a street and have white people cross on the other side of the street, or be in an elevator and have someone get to the other side of the elevator. America, that's not okay. America, it's not okay for me to have a conversation with some of my black friends and to ask them, "Have you ever been pulled over by the police unjustly for no reason?" And have everyone in that group say they have. And then to actually think that I was kind of weirdly special and say, "Out of you guys, okay, we've been all pulled over for no reason, but have you ever had a gun pointed to you?" And some of my friends says they have, because America, that has happened to me. You would think that a black man who's an educator, who has a degree, who's back in school now, who is a state representative, wouldn't happen to him. No. My story is I was actually going to a football game I was coaching in all my coaching garb. And to have the police pull my brother and myself over, pull him to the ground, put a gun to the back of his head, put a gun to my chest, and threatened to kill me for no reason. And then when they found out it was a case of mistaken identity, they said, "I'm sorry." No, they didn't say that. Does America understand that as an educator, I have to tell my students that you can't act like other kids in public? And they look at me and they say, "Huh, what'd you talk about, Mr. Gibson?" Some of them are big as me, but although they're kids, they look like men and they just can't act the same way. Does America understand that I'm teaching my daughter how to drive? And instead of just teaching her the regular driving rules of the road, I have to also tell her that if she's ever pulled over by the police, how to act and how to behave. But you know what, America? I have a little bit of a solution. You see, a lot of you guys who I look at in the crowd right now, we all came together and we passed a bill, along with Senator Macquarie, Public Act 1912, to make it mandatory for African American and Black and Puerto Rican Latino studies be taught in school. And some of you, like Superintendent Hill over there, testified for that bill. That's now law. We have to educate America. We have to educate our kids, because kids are born innocent. That poisonous gas of racism is taught to our kids at an early age. But we have to educate them that that's wrong. We have to, although our Windsor Police Department and Officer Chief Langston, you're right, we have some good officers here, but Windsor is a great town, but we have to be part of that butterfly effect that changes the rest of America. We have to have police accountability laws. So I see Ms. Mack to my right over here trying to tell me to wrap it up, so I will. America, my word to you is that the time is now. Because you know what? We're standing on the shoulders of Martin and Malcolm and Marcus Garby. We're standing on the shoulders of Charles Drew and Madam C.J. Walker. We're standing on the shoulders of Rosa Parks and Barack and Michelle Obama. We are standing on the shoulders of giants. The time is now for a change. The time is now to enact education and laws to make that change. We can't let anyone steal our dreams and our hopes and our futures. America, the time is now to get people off of our necks, to get the people off of the necks of black people. America, do you understand that the time is now? Thank you.
Is there anyone here from the class of 2020? Windsor High. Woo! All right, give it up for your classmate. Gabriela Lopez will be giving us a selection. Class of 2020, I want to hear you. Can't hear you. Where are you at? All right, come on down, Gabriela.
Good afternoon. One thing I want to say before I start, although I don't understand, I will stand. For every single one of you here, thank you. You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we're gonna walk it out and move mountains. We're gonna walk it out and move mountains. And we'll rise up, we'll rise like the day, we'll rise up, we'll rise unafraid, we'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again. And we'll rise up high like the waves, we'll rise up in spite of the ache, we'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again.
Thank you, young lady. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you the pastor of First Church of Windsor, Pastor Nicole Grant-Yentman.
Thank you so much for all coming out. So much has been said today, and I want to say something a little bit different that I don't think has been said. So I do serve the First Church in Windsor, and our motto is living by faith, known by love, and a voice of hope. And when I think about what it means to be known by love, it was to come here and to say, Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. We are the First Church in Windsor. First is in our name. We are the first church in the first town. And sometimes that firstness is used by some people to say that that means we have a place of privilege. And I want to tell you that firstness is not the basis for privilege, because we all know we were not first, right? We are all standing on Native American ground. When you look at the emblem of Windsor, it has a stockade fence around that first settlement. Why did you need a stockade fence if everyone was getting along just fine? Our town has a long history. We are built on colonial roots and taking land and even slavery. And it's okay to admit when we did wrong. I love Maya Angelou's saying that when you know better, you do better. When you know better, you do better. And as a Christian, that is one of the core pieces of my faith, is that we admit when we do something wrong, we confess to our God, we seek forgiveness and understanding of what we did. And so it's okay, and I'm talking to a lot of white people out there, to admit when we did something wrong. To see the racism in each one of us, to look back on what we did or what we do or the thoughts that we have or the assumptions that we feel, and to say that is not the way God created us to be. And so maybe I'm talking mostly to the white people out there, but I ask this in all humility. What will you do with your privilege? What will you do with your privilege? Because admitting you did something wrong does not make you small or weak or less than. It makes you strong in the eyes of God. And in your community, that is the person that I want to be. That's who our church wants to be. We want to be known by love. And so, I know it's hard. I really do. But I want to be on the side of love, on Black Lives Matter, for admitting when I make a mistake, to just say, I made a mistake. Help me understand and do better. When I know better, I do better. And so I invite you all to use whatever privilege you have to reach out. And that is what I try to do, and the First Church tries to do, is to use our privilege wisely, to build up, to make connections, build bridges with the Muslim community, the Islamic Center of Connecticut, all my friends, Archer Memorial, so many places where we have reached out, and we will continue to do that. And I say to you, if you will reach back, I will be there. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. Just bear with us. We are almost done. I know you all have other things to do on Sunday, but this is very important. Just bear with us. We're almost finished. I'd like to bring to the stage State Representative Jane Garby.
Hello, everyone. We are in a health crisis, an economic crisis, and a war against racism. I know we need to join together with people from all walks of life to fight for equality for all people, especially Black people. I am a white person of privilege, and I do not know what a person of color lives through every day. As a country, we do a lot of assuming about how other people feel. I want you to know that my heart is open to listening to your feelings, your truths, your anger, your sadness, and confusion. I share that with you. I want you to know that I am here for you and that I will use my power as a white person, a position as state representative, a citizen, a colleague, as a friend to fight against discrimination, oppression, and inequality for Black people, not just with empty words, but with action. I will work especially with my fellow representatives of color to guide me to action, and with my friends to keep me grounded and steady. The Declaration of Independence says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So let's make change so that a Black person doesn't have to worry about walking down the street, about praying to have a son instead of a daughter because of the challenges they'll face, about a child worrying about whether they are next. There have been too many. And I'll use the last part of my time to call up Olivia Mitchell and hopefully some of her friends to help me. Come on up. This is why I have hope, right? You lead us.
Wait. Before we do this, we are planning a protest on June 10th in Bushnell Park in Hartford, and we're trying to get all of Connecticut to come out. Please see us if you want any information, and remember, Black Lives Matter! 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 Black Lives Matter!
Thank you.
Thank you. Please, once again, you know I'm going to advocate for the young people. Please come out. Please come out. Please come out. Next on our list is Monique Saunders, and she has a word for you.
Take your knee off my neck. I can't breathe. I can't sleep. I can't jog. I can't get a Skittles or an Arizona. Take your knee off my neck. I'm tired of being tired. I'm tired of crying. See, I was made in his image, so I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Well, maybe that's the problem. You see my hue, and instantly you are afraid. I'm no greater than you. I'm just like you. Can't you see that every time you spill my blood, I bleed like you? Get your knee off my neck. I just want to educate my students. If Bobby does something and Gerard does something, they both deserve the same consequence. I want to sit in meetings where I feel like it's okay to talk. I want to worship where I want to worship without fear that somebody's going to walk in and end my life for praising God. Get your knee off my neck. My money spends just like yours. My education, just as worthy. My spirit is just as fired up as yours. But not just for today. I'll feel like this tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. Will you? Get your knee off our necks. We want to breathe. We want to live. We are tired of crying. We are tired of being angry. We are tired of them slaying our brothers and the sisters that nobody seems to already know their names. If you stand with me, stand tall, stand proud, help be my fortress, help be my rock. You ask me, what can you do? It's more than just seeing me. It's more than just hearing me. It's more than just standing with me today. Take your knee off my neck.
Did I not tell you the truth? Did she have a word or did she have a word? She had a word, people. She had a word. Next is Hadiya, and she only wants to be known as Hadiya, and she will introduce herself.
Hello, my name is Hadiya Hill. I am 13 years old and turning 14 in a couple weeks. Going to Windsor High. At first, I was really nervous to come up here and speak my truth. But as I look out in the crowd and I see all my peers and all my teachers, I'm no longer going to be quiet. Coming up here to possibly ease your mixed feelings about what's going on in the world today, regardless of age, isn't why I'm here. Today, I plan to make you think and have you ask yourself, what kind of noise are you making for our tomorrow? On September 1st, 2016, Colin Kaepernick took a knee and has since then been blackmarked by the NFL, not even having reached the highlight of his career at the ripe age of only 29. This man was stripped of his career and livelihood. But on May 25th, 2020, Officer Derek Chauvin also took a knee and the life of George Floyd, an innocent, unarmed man. Why is it that a man who is willing to risk it all for the betterment of not only his country, but the futures of the young men and women that have to live on after him loses everything? But a man that takes that same knee while in the process of taking a life still has a chance to get it all back. The time for sitting back and being quiet because you don't look like the main target of these crimes is done. The time for trying to use having a black friend as a pass is done. The time for using your black colleagues being on the same yet uneven playing field as you as an excuse is done. And the time for using you being silent because one black student, black bus passenger, black neighbor is making you feel uncomfortable is done. It isn't just my fight or the black students and faculty in your school's fight. It's everyone's fight. Whether big or small, old or young, even black or white, we can still manage to make noise. We can still get up in the morning and turn to our neighbors and ask them, what can I do to make it just a little bit easier? So as I leave you all here today and you go on about your daily lives, think, what have I done of actual value, and what will I do to make some noise? Thank you.
Wait a minute, I feel like I'm at graduation right here. I think this must be Sage Park's graduation corner over here. Well, I'd just like to say to you, our next speaker, and I want to say more, but you know they already told me don't do it. Rabbi Small, come on down.
Thank you. Hey, everyone, we're still here. And when we wake up tomorrow, we also have to still be here. This work won't be over in a day or a year. I want to thank my friend Len Swade, citizen of this wonderful town, for nominating me to come and be here. I'm going to speak for a minute, but I'm mainly here to listen and learn. And I have been listening, and indeed I've been learning. The first most important thing I want to say is that Black Lives Matter to me. The Nobel laureate and writer Elie Wiesel, who shared his experiences and lessons from the Holocaust with people in 70 different languages into which his works have been translated, said that the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is indifference. And there's been far too much indifference to the suffering of people of color in this country. Together, we have to awaken the awareness. We have heard testimony today in heartbreaking fashion that should awaken the conscience of everyone. Scripture teaches that all humans, that every human is created in the divine image. Everyone. I want you to turn and look at somebody next to you. You can find somebody that looks different than you, that's even better. And look in their eyes and see in that face the face of God. For when you look into the face of your neighbor, no matter what their color or what their hairstyle, you are looking into the face of God. And if only we remembered that, what kind of a society would we have? The Bible commands us to pursue, the word in Hebrew, lirdof, two qualities in society. One of them is justice, tzedek, tirdof. Justice shall you pursue. Why? Because it's hard. Justice is not automatic. Human beings have a nature that is both good and evil. And we must always work to overcome the evil inclination. Too much victory has been accorded to the evil inclination in our country. There is so much work to be done. We must pursue justice, because unless there is justice for everyone, there is justice for no one. The other quality we are commanded to pursue and never stop pursuing is peace. Peace means more than toleration. I admire the calls for toleration. We must go beyond toleration, because toleration means, yeah, I put up with you. But true peace between people means I hear you, I see you, I love you. The Bible teaches that love is strong as death, and great rivers cannot quench the fires of love. If we really want to heal and mend our country, if we want to make the changes that are necessary so there's both justice and peace, we must summon our hearts with love to understand, appreciate, and respect the human dignity of every person on day-to-day interactions and in the broader scheme of our country, in our laws, in our economic opportunity to end inequality and offer a fair opportunity for everyone. Sometimes the slogan, no justice, no peace, is wielded as a threat, meaning you won't have quiet if there is injustice. And that fits. But I'd like to raise that slogan to another level as well. No justice, no peace. Because if there is injustice for anyone in our society, how can any of us sit in peace and enjoy our prosperity? There needs to be peace and justice for all for us to have peace in our hearts. The great shofar, the great horn, calls us for redemption. It bids us to gather together, which we have. Give yourselves a big hand for being here today. The sound of the shofar calls us to hear brokenness, and we have heard testimony to the brokenheartedness of mothers and others, and let us all feel our hearts break as we appreciate the suffering of our neighbors and friends and ourselves. But then the shofar calls alarm to awaken to action. Let's resolve to take action again and again and again to change the inequality and bias and, yes, racism that's baked into our society now. It can change if we act again and again. And finally, the great shofar sounds for liberty and redemption for all. And it's the longest blast of all because the work before us is so long. Let us resolve, let us promise each other to love, respect, and cherish each other and work side by side until the beauty and promise of this nation is realized for all the inhabitants thereof. Amen.
Town of Windsor, please welcome to the podium Town Councilor. I forgot his name. I'm drawing a blank. Donald Jepson.
Thank you, Judge Washington and the Human Relations Commission for organizing this event, and I always remember your name. For those of you who don't know me, I've been serving on the Windsor Town Council for, well, this is my 10th term. But my family's been here for well over 100 years. But you don't need me to tell you that the 19th century Windsor, how it looked then, is nothing like what it is today. Things change. And it is time to change again. Not just Windsor, but the entire world. George Floyd's death and the way it happened touches the soul in all of us. The world can be harsh and unfair, but this is so much more. This calls not for words, but for action, for change. But I ask myself, how? What shall we change? I'm going to start with me. And I've started with two things. First, call out inappropriate dialogue. Just a few days ago, I was in a group of people, all white, when someone told a joke that crossed the line. I called them out. And I used some pretty strong language. And then I left. Funny thing is, all of them would swear they're not racist. But as I've learned from my best friend, who I think is over there somewhere, all white people are biased, or have white privilege, or whatever you want to call it, whether they're aware of it or not. And every day, I'm going to try to improve. My second thing is friendliness. Engage total strangers. If you're out for a walk or in the grocery aisle or wherever, just say, hey, how you doing? And mean it. Bring a smile to someone's face. I know it sounds corny, but spreading some love to total strangers is uplifting. It can bring us together. And I guess that's my point here today. We are all God's children. We are all in this together. Let's figure out how to change and do it as one. God bless you.
Next, we will have regards from Hadiya Ali.
Hi everyone, my name is Hadiya. I live in Blumenthal, but I lived in Windsor until I was like 16, 17, so I'm here with y'all. I want to talk to us all today about justice. That's why we're here. And so I want to talk about what it looks like when our communities get the justice they deserve and not the justice that people tell us we can have. Since 2013, police unions in the state of Connecticut have spent $1,101,105.37 lobbying against police accountability legislation. Just one more time. $1,101,105.37 lobbying against police accountability legislation. When the people who are charged to protect and serve our communities are that heavily and deeply invested in making sure they are not held accountable for their actions, the question before us becomes, who are you here to protect and who do you purport to serve? A lack of police accountability in Connecticut is what has kept the murder of Jason Negron, who's 15 years old, gunned down in Bridgeport 3 years ago, has kept that officer not only on the force, but has awarded him a pay raise in the last year. We're commissioning them to kill our kids now. A lack of police accountability has kept the family of Mubarak Suleiman, a 19-year-old black Muslim boy who was gunned down in West Haven by state police in January of this year. A lack of accountability has kept that family waiting for justice that is not coming. A lack of a piece of accountability led to the murder of Anthony Vega, an 18-year-old boy in Wethersfield last year, for the crime of driving his own car with his girlfriend next to him. Not only kept that officer on the force, allowed him to resign of his own accord. He decided he was done terrorizing our communities. Nobody made him stop. He decided he was done. That same officer that had on file that his emotions rendered him incapable of calmly handling routine traffic violations. He was able to travel from town to town, from city to city, policing our youth, policing our communities, when his own people said he was incapable of calmly handling a routine traffic violation. And now an 18-year-old boy is dead, and his family has not known justice. A lack of police accountability has kept Noah and Caleb living under a carceral state after witnessing New Britain police murder their friend Zoe in cold blood 3 years ago at the age of 20. A lack of police accountability took a Jose Soto, 27, away from his family when a regional SWAT team gunned him down in front of his mother's doorstep in Manchester this year. Do not let them tell you it does not happen here. It happens here. And they spend $1 million to make sure that nobody can hold them accountable when it happens here. In our blue state, with our diverse towns, because the Democrats always get it right? It happens here. And families still suffer. Those are just 5 names that I gave to you today, but I promise you there are dozens more. And dozens more will come as long as we refuse to hold them accountable. As long as police unions are allowed to spend $1 million+ to not be held accountable. And so I ask today for us to imagine a justice beyond electoral politics. Please vote. It is your right, and so many people have fought and died for that right. But after you vote, remember that in Minneapolis, when George Floyd was murdered, we have a blue state and a blue mayor and a blue all of this who are supposed to be holding people accountable that are failing Black communities every single day. Understand that justice is not reform. Do not kill us less. Do not kill me at all. If we have to ban chokeholds, the question that is before us is, why are police choking unarmed citizens? Why do we have to tell you to be kind when you're paid by my money to protect and serve me? When Malcolm X said, if you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6, that is not progress. If you pull it all the way out, that is not progress. Progress is healing the wound. What Malcolm was talking about was restorative justice. Do not give me a police officer who gunned a Black boy down in handcuffs. I want a Black boy alive. I want a Black boy at graduation. I want a Black boy allowed to realize the full potential of his hopes and dreams. As long as we continue to invest in the violence of policing, as long as we continue to allow our communities to be occupied by people who want to see our men and women in handcuffs and not achieving the full realization of their dreams, of what they deserve, we will not see justice. Understand that we are what we have. Look around you and realize that we are what we have. Hold on to that power and do not let anybody ever take it away from you. Y'all know I talk too much, so I'm gonna end it here. But I wanna share the words of Assata Shakur, if you guys could just repeat after me. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love each other and protect each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. America, can Black America ever trust you again? We put our trust in you, even when we knew your past. We trust you to change your ways because you said you would. Because we felt a part of you, no matter how well or how bad you treated us. We were always proud to be a part of you. As your darker-skinned family member, we worked hard for you, you and the hot sun. We gave all our inventions, which we never got proper credit for. We lived amongst you when we did not live in the best neighborhoods. But America, you turn your back on us so many times. Can we ever trust you again? This time is different. Why? Because the world is watching, and your democracy policies and your beliefs on democracy are now really on the line. Will you walk the walk you brag about to the world? Justice for all? America, love is the answer. Love is the only answer. God is love. Thank you. We are going to now hear from Nishette Burke, who's going to make one announcement, and we'll have our closing benediction. Thank you.
Thank you again for your time. It was important. Many messages. Take time to ponder. Take time to reflect. And most of all, take action. Right? Okay. I'm inviting everyone to participate this Thursday, June 11th at 7 p.m., the Windsor Democratic Party and our Democratic elected officials, we are going to host a listening session. So if you go out to windsordemocrats.com, you can register. We want to hear from you. We want to have dialogue. It can't just be today. I'm going to pause. It can't just be today. So go out to Windsor Democrats, to the page, register, flood us with your questions. We want to have real conversation. You spoke up today, yep, because you showed up, but now it's time for action. Thank you.
Thank you, Windsor, for coming out. Just before we close with our benediction, I just want to thank my co-commissioners that are here on stage with me for helping me to put this together. Thank you, town, for your response, your peaceful nature. I love you all. If you need anything from us, our next Human Relations Commission meeting is next week, or this week rather. And I thank you for all of your support. And now I want you to go out and do the work. I hope the messages that you've heard today have been beneficial to each one of you. Now I would like all the clergy to come forth and close us in benediction. Thank you for being here. Go home safe. Wash your hands, keep your mask on.
I was getting the side eye from this area over here. All our seniors, before you leave, if you have not registered to vote, please visit this lovely table over here. The Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated is here. They're ready to sign you up. So please, and if you are not a senior and you have not registered to vote, they will also accept you. Thank you so much. And thank you all for coming out.
Okay, please join me in the spirit of prayer. Holy God, come, breathe your peace into our cities and our nation, we pray, and quell the violence that threatens to overtake us. Make space for us to meet our brothers and sisters who are angry and hurting and hear their pain, our pain. Give us courage to speak up and to speak out injustice in every time and place, so that no more lives will be taken in the name of privilege or power, not ever.
May the peace of God, which passeth all understanding, remain with you always. And may you find love and courage in the duties that God has for you to do. And listen to the voice of his directions in your life. May he bless your family and keep you strong. In Jesus' name, amen.
May he keep you covered. May he keep you in love. May he keep you in peace. Amen.
The Prophet Muhammad, he said, beware of the prayer of the oppressed, because God is listening. So we pray the prayer of the oppressed, and we pray to make us establish justice in the city, in the state, in this country. To tell all those who are protectors of injustice to watch out, because we are praying.
May God bless you and keep you. May God turn the divine face towards you and be gracious to you. May God open our eyes to see the divine face in the faces of each and every one of our neighbors. May God give us the strength to work and never stop until justice, equality for all are realized in our society. May God watch over us always and bless us all with peace. Let love and justice flow like a mighty stream, and let us say, Amen. Amen.
Everyone go home safe and have a good night. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Go with love.